this? Well, I want to say thank you for coming to Moonshine here. This is part of UrVeda. My name is Jane Fairchild, and I am your astrologer, the woman in the moon, because I was sick of hearing about how much the man in the moon was being talked about. So I stepped right in and I took that title. I hope that's okay with you.
Brilliant.
All right, good. So I wanted to, one of the classes, and I'm going to have a different subject matter and theme for each one of my astrology classes. And of course, today being Tuesday at 5 Eastern Standard Time is an exception because of Halloween yesterday. Next week, we will be back in full force, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Monday. So, yeah, I will look forward to seeing everybody, and that is the 7th, November 7th. Okay? All right, so I thought a good topic would be, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know if it's me. I hope it's not. Are you getting any kind of reverb feedback? Oh, Rick, you know what it is? It's because you're here.
I have the headphones on.
It doesn't matter.
Then I'll go bye-bye.
Thank you. All relatives in my house cannot come. You can listen. All right. So I thought that destiny was a great topic for astrology because, you know, as sure as we're living, we all want to know about how, where, when do we find ourselves? Well, of course, a birth chart, I'll start out simple and then I'm going to get right into it. A birth chart is a snapshot of the heavens on the day, time, place you were born. It's that thumbprint called you, and it tells the story. And it's an unfolding, forever unfolding story. So the sun, moon, all the planets, there's such a thing called a rising sign based on your time of birth. They all conglomerate for you into this beautiful picture, okay? And so here's a pretty picture, okay? I know it doesn't mean a thing, right? But guess what? That picture right there, and that is Sheila. Sheila, this is your thumbprint, your snapshot. This is what the doctor handed over to your parents and said, here she is in all her glory. And so that picture is filled with promise and with destiny. And I've been studying astrology since I was 13. And I know I look a few years older than 13, a heck of a lot. And I have really learned a lot. And the reason why I stay with astrology is because I can't disprove it. It's got so much to offer in the line of who we are. And I'm not the kind of astrologer, and I don't know many who are, but there are a few out there that are scary. There is no such thing as predicting things to such an nth degree. We're all born with these themes that we're meant to live out, and our charts show that. And so, excuse me, when you do an hour and 15-minute reading with me based on your chart, well, that's when we get into the gold. We dig deep, we take a real deep dive. So back to destiny. So what I started seeing was that there was a pattern. I started, of course, as you can imagine, as a young person, I got into each one of my family members' charts, and then it just grew. But then I had a real fascination for people who were famous. And I have a few of those charts here with me today. And I'm going to compare them just a little bit with your chart, okay? So, for instance, everybody knows Mr. Microsoft himself, Bill Gates. Well, for destiny and for one to look down that long road to see, well, what does my destiny look like? To use Bill Gates, we look at, and we're going to look at in your chart, what is called the North Node. And this man was lucky enough, because of his time of birth at 9:15 p.m., October 28th, 1955, in Seattle, Washington. He had the North Node in this configuration called the part of fortune, and it's just as it sounds. The North Node is destiny. The North Node is the most high definition. This is your place of honor, your place of substance, and your place to be. And this man was born in the happy-go-lucky sign of Sagittarius, the archer. Let's see, do I have any Sagittarians here right now? I don't think so. I know I've got a couple of Aries and so on. But so this North Node and part of fortune in his 5th house of great creativity. Well, isn't that special? And he did go on, and of course we know he amassed a fortune. Okay. Another chart of a mega bucks tycoon is Rupert Murdoch. Many of you probably all know Rupert Murdoch. You know the name, right? Josh was saying he has his life path is the 3, which is Sagittarius, right? Okay, so you're a 3. I get that. I don't do tarot. I don't, do numerology. I'm certainly very familiar with it, but I stick right with the charts. So Rupert Murdoch, where's his North Node? Well, he's another one who had the North Node in conjunction with Jupiter. Jupiter's the planet of great expansion, it only knows how to enlarge anything it touches. So his destiny, his place of honor was like pumped up like a Macy's Day balloon in the parade, just unbelievable, right? Then we have, and I kind of printed this one out for fun. Everyone knows who Mae West was. Come up and see me sometime. That, that sexy siren back in the roaring 20s and into the 30s and somewhat into the 40s. And this one, her North Node is in the 12th house of life. And essentially what that means is the 12th house is the house of secrets, the house of seclusion, the house of, kind of go along under the radar kind of a thing. So I've read a little bit about her, and she lived that kind of a path, if you will. She flew under the radar. There was lots that this woman, shall I say, she would partake in that was maybe forbidden of sorts. But that didn't stop Mae West, and good for her. I also had a fascination with this unsavory guy, and he certainly got his comeuppance. Adolf Hitler. His chart, his North Node, is with his part of fortune, just like Bill Gates. However, he had this other conjunction with what is called Chiron. Chiron is the wounded warrior, the one who has an Achilles heel. That we look at that in the chart to see what is your biggest lesson. Chiron will tell us that. And this guy had his destiny with Chiron, but yet a part of fortune. So he went for the brass ring. He was ugly, as we know, and that's what he got for that. Then there's Martin Luther King Jr. This man was born with the North Node in the first house. There are 12 houses of life that correspond with the 12 signs of the zodiac. And Martin Luther King Jr.'s North Node was in that first house, numero uno, number one. And you know, if you read anything about Martin Luther King Jr., he had such a drive for peace, to the point where there's a lot written on his bipolar leanings and so on. He really had pretty wide swings. But that North Node in the first house just drove him. And it was in the sign of Taurus. And for Taurus is the sign of peace and justice. And you know, I rest my case. And the last one, before I get to everybody's chart here today, I just got such a kick out of Madonna, you know, the material girl, but also a tycoon in her own right, right? Multi-millionaire. Well, no surprise here. Her birth chart, she's a Leo, and she's in that category with, you know, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez and just Jackie O, you know, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, you know, that proud, magnanimous Leo that we have John and Russell here in the room as Leo. Joshua's right on the cusp of Leo and Virgo. Yeah, so Madonna had the North Node in the second house of money, but she had it in conjunction with Jupiter, like Rupert Murdoch. But then in addition, she had it in the nebulous planet of Neptune, which is illusions and veils. Like what I see is, I don't know quite what I see with Neptune, right? Is the message. So that's a little background on some famous people and what their North Nodes were. Okay, well, we're going to take Sheila's chart, for instance. Sheila, your North Node is right smack dab with your moon. Let me ask you this, and it's in the third house of communications. Sheila, do you feel a pull to, do you have a message that you want to be heard? Have you been heard? What is that? What's your destiny with being wanting to be a master communicator? Does that make sense to you?
I would be like the one in the room not talking, or if I went somewhere hoping that I wouldn't be asked a question. So
okay,
maybe it's that I wish that I was the person that would be able to ask the questions or put up my hand or not be afraid that somebody would ask me a question.
Okay.
Maybe that's it.
Okay. Well, there's a big light shining on with the North Node shining on your third house of communications. And so that is like, we want you, Sheila. The world needs your voice. What do you have to say? Would you please tell us? I don't know how that fits for you, girlfriend, but it's so there that you do have a voice that needs to be heard. Let's see. I don't think Mary is here. She's supposed to be, but Janet. Okay, Janet. Janet, your North Node. Wow. I can't get over this. This is really, it's really pretty fascinating. Do you have anything to do with business and children, creativity and business? The North Node is in the fifth house. It stands alone by itself, but it's beautifully aspected to Venus, which tells me there is loads of great creativity. And what is that house of creativity, children, and business? What's that vibe for you, Janet?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Oh. What is your line of work?
I was a public school teacher, and I've always been a Reiki practitioner and teacher and an integrative therapy, energetic therapy practitioner.
Okay. Okay, so you started off with the children, and then you got into the very creative line of Reiki, and you still do that. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Terrific. Yeah. So that is something that is, but there's something that's not satisfied until you take it into the business world, until you make it your business. It's sort of like destiny's calling you to get on the platform and show up. Okay. With the children and the theme of great creativity. And okay. Well, there we have.
Thank you.
And we have that. It's Mary. Okay, Kathleen Kerrigan. Let's see, where is that rascal North Node for her? Well, you know, this is a little bit like Janet and Kathleen. Do you know each other?
No.
No, okay. The reason why I ask is, Kathleen, you have the North Node in Capricorn as well, in the 5th house. So it's kind of, you know, you and Janet are kind of like birds of a feather flocking together with that whole theme of great creativity, digging deep into the child in you to bring that up, to form a business, to be an entrepreneur. That is your destiny. To grab that, don't dumb down, bring it right up, and let your light shine in that arena, because it's calling you, and it wants you, and the world wants you in that respect, in that very creative vein. Okay, let's see, what do we have next? Darla's North Node. Well, Darla's North Node is in the 6th house. The 6th house is the house of work. Workhorse, that's what she is. The servant of the zodiac. The one who has a cause and rings the bell and says, come one, come all, I am here for you. And it's like the detective sign of Scorpio, which is really, and it's right in conjunction with Joe, who is sitting right there, her partner, with his sun sign. And I talked to you both a few months back about your destiny together, that North Node, yours, Darla, was in conjunction with Joe's sun sign. It's like, even if you were across a crowded room, you were meant to lock eyes and know one another. Because whenever that North Node, and the North Node always denotes a certain date. So for you, Darla, it's roughly right now. It's the end of October, the first week in November. And it is conjuncting, I'm sorry, I said Joe's sun, Joe's moon, which is extremely powerful, because your date with destiny is burning and churning with his emotion. It's like you kind of went like this to him right between the eyes, and he had to stand up. Yeah, it hurt, right? He had to stand up and take notice, boy. That's good. That's good. Yeah, so the 6th house of work, you know, I'll make a prediction without even looking at any kind of progress chart of tomorrow. Darla Williams, you will die with your boots on. You know, you're just a workhorse. You know, you were really meant to get out there and press the flesh. Let's see. All right, Joshua. Joshua has the North Node. Oh, okay, in the 11th house.
Is it Aquarius?
Pardon me?
Is it Aquarius?
Yeah, well, yes. And the North Node in the 11th house is the house of Aquarius, the house of the great humanitarian, the high-minded, very schooled, loves learning, the forever student with, 3 PhDs. And so your destiny is to be the brainchild and to bring that brainiac you into existence, that is going to make it a better world, because Aquarius and the North Node together bring about a destiny that is, unbeatable. Yeah. So my hat's off to you, Joshua. Okay, let's see, Joe. Joe himself, he has got the North Node. Well, we've got these, it's interesting that when I find in groups, there can be a lot of reiteration of the same, duplication, if you will, the same kind of aspects. Joe, your North Node is in the 5th house in Leo. And so it is that destiny, Leo, proud, brave, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, be seen in the most creative way. That is the 5th house. But Leo is like calling on you for your destiny to do that, to be brave, to be the lion, hear me roar kind of a thing. And to take that creativity and just flaunt it, bring it to the stage. Leo is, John and Russell, you're the actors. You're the Shakespearean actors of the zodiac, and Joe, that's where your North Node lands. I don't think Tony's here, right? No, I don't believe. Let me just check. Oh, it's got Lori's here. Okay, yep. All right. Russell, your North Node. I'm going to go out on a limb too right now. Your North Node is in the 1st house, just like Martin Luther King Jr., in the sassy sign of Sagittarius, that the archer, the one with the target, pulls back the arrow and reaches the target. And it's in a powerful aspect to Pluto. Well, all I can say is that your destiny is to be large and in charge, just like the Leo that you are. I think with UrVeda, we're going to put you right on the map, with a big star, with a big R. That's really kind of neat that you have this North Node in the 1st house, like Martin Luther King Jr. And it is very powerfully placed. So, we'll say we knew you when. Let's see, Lori Mershon. Let's see, you're here, right, Lori? Oh, she's muted. That's fine, hon. You don't have to say a thing. Well, Lori, I almost want to chuckle because I know a little bit about Lori, or I know a lot about Lori. And Lori's North Node her destiny is the 2nd house of money. But it's not just money and finance. It's all tied up in when she feels her worth, the money doors open, is essentially what this message is for Lori. And it's in conjunction with Neptune, much like how Madonna had her North Node in conjunction with Neptune. That's sort of like, I'm not really sure what I see. There's kind of a veil. There's like a little bit of smoke and mirrors going on. I don't know what I trust, kind of a thing. But the beautiful side of Neptune, when it becomes so absolutely high-minded and elevated to the place where it should be and is meant to be, is it's like the Mother Teresa of the zodiac is Neptune, when it's firing on all cylinders and it's in its beauty. So, Lori, Miss Moneybags, I'm sorry, along with Russell, you two are like a tag team here with all this abundance. I think it's marvelous. Let's see. And John. Geez. I'm getting sick of this first house. I'm just jealous because mine's not in the first house. John has his North Node in the first house, too, in the sign of Leo. So he is absolutely, I am the lion, hear me roar. His destiny is to be number one. And I guess it wasn't enough, John, that you were the king mucky muck in Atlantis. You had to, you're bound to do it again here. That's kind of an inside joke for that a few of us know about John. Little humor. But it's really quite wonderful because that is your destiny is to be, and Russell as well, to have this completeness about you, to evolve to such a point where you are so self-actualized and you feel like so good to be in your own skin, but you're not happy until you get there. That's what the North Node in the first house. It's like a blessing and a curse. You know, it's like, great, on that treadmill, you know, go. And then it's like, well, what about stopping and smelling the flowers, right?
It's a curse.
What's that?
I said it's a curse.
It's a curse. It's a curse. I know. And Catherine. So Catherine, yours is in the 12th house of the healer. What is your line of work?
Yeah, I do a lot of massage and beauty and health and wellness.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that North Node in Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, everything that is beautiful, that is lovely, that's balanced, that's peaceful, that's highly artistic, in the 12th house of the psychic intuitive healer. So it's really quite lovely, you know, but it's calling you to really step up to that and to be not just a healer, not just, a 3-star healer, to be a 5-star healer, you know, and to really kind of let it shine. And I know I have Angela's chart here. Angela, my dear, just bear with me. Well, I thought I printed it, so I'm just going to look it up here. It's only going to take me a moment because I know right where it is. So what questions that you might have of what I've talked about so far?
Hey, Jane, I have a question while you're pulling up my chart.
Yep.
I'm not that familiar with North Node, but there was something someone said to me not that long ago that makes me think that it is indicative of just fate. Like that's just, you know.
It is. It's destined.
The right word? Okay. Fate. Okay, good.
Yeah, without a doubt.
What is the difference between the North Node and the true North Node?
They're the same.
Okay.
They are. Yep. They are absolutely the same. Just some writers, astrologers, and so on. Yeah. Okay. So here is Angela. Well, Angela, oh, honey bun, I'm sorry to break it to you, and I know a little bit about Angela. Angela's North Node is in the 7th house of partnerships.
Good Lord.
Angela's kind of had a tough go of, Angela to me is a 6-star woman in this lifetime. But she attracts like some 2 and 3 stars, And it's also in conjunction with Saturn, which is like, wah, wah. It's almost like, Angela, you were put on this earth to teach them a thing or 2 or 3 or 10 or 55 things, right?
I'm just not going to say anything, but you're right.
No, I know. If you look at your chart, and I know you have a copy of it, the 7th house, you'll see there's Mars, which is power. And this, but you know what? See, this is it. This is where you get your power. It's sort of like, hey, stop looking in the 7th house for your power, girl. Like you and Dorothy. Click your heels. You had the power all along. But it's almost like God herself tapped you and said, Angela, would you do us a favor? Would you please just help out these poor male souls that they need some guidance and they need their comeuppance. And you're just a woman to do it.
Yeah, when we catch up soon, I'll tell you about the big comeuppance that happened. But
oh my goodness, that for another time, right?
Exactly. But earlier, I don't know if you saw my chat, but don't forget I have that Sagittarius moon. So it kind of
go get them.
Yeah, it's kind of connected. I'm not surprised.
Anyways, okay. Questions so far? Anything at all about astrology, about what I've said? No, I did that great of a job, huh? You just
Joshua has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have chat going here. Yes, Joshua.
What's the difference in the astrology natal birth chart, which you were doing now, and you were discussing in the Vedic astrology chart?
Yeah, there's a very big difference. And just to tell you, too, the Vedic astrology, as well as there are other types of astrology, other types of ways of what they call producing a chart, okay? Other descriptions. But the Vedic brings in its own heritage into it. Yes, it'll reference the planets and some of the signs. But yeah, it's one of the fields of astrology that I never studied. I felt like I had plenty on my plate to consume with just the different types of Eastern, or rather Western Hemisphere astrology. Yeah, but that's a good question.
What you study besides the regular astrology?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What astrologies have you studied besides regular astrology?
Well, when I say I've studied others, it's like certain types of charts. Like there's this thing called horary astrology. I don't really practice it. I know it well, but it's not anything I use. For instance, people will cast a chart on when a building was, when the ground broke and they started building a building. they ask a question. Am I going to be rich someday? And they'll look up the here and now, the chart of the day, of the hour, and it'll portend, supposedly. I don't want to say it's a waste of time, but I don't know, I guess I feel like the birth chart is such that it gives so much information. And I feel like, destiny isn't about, being lucky. There's choice that goes into it. We were given a free will, but our chart really does, it just enhances our path so much and puts us in touch with who we really are.
I can't hear you anymore. Anyone else here?
No, I can't hear her either.
Oh, shoot.
It is.
Oh, yeah, I heard you there.
I'm sorry. Did I break up?
Yeah, I got
we
you
can hear
there.
you now.
Sorry, it came it came unplugged. She's come unplugged. Russell, do you remember that song from way back when?
I'm afraid I do.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, so charts. I can, unless there are more questions, I do have some pretty interesting stories that I can impart that will give you an idea further of what an astrology chart can lend you, what kind of information you can derive from it. And I'll go ahead and, anything comes up, just, raise your hand. So as the story goes, probably about 6 years ago, I turned a corner when it came to being an astrologer. And that corner was this. I stopped doubting anything that I saw in a chart. Totally. And it was for this reason. This woman lives in downstate New York, about an hour outside of New York City, was referred to her. All I knew was her name was Dorothy. That was it. Date of birth, time of birth, place of birth. And no idea what she did. I don't want to know. I don't want anybody's last name, so on. And I looked at her chart, as I do everyone's chart, a few hours before I'm going to have an hour and a half or hour and 90 minutes talk with her, reading on her chart. And I saw that there were some things in her chart that really jumped off the page. And she was a woman of not a lot of words, or at least she wasn't in the first half hour. And I was telling her things like, well, there's something very, very definite, a relationship with your mother, that there was some sort of a distance. There was a coolness. There was almost a coldness, a sadness attached to your mother. And then I was telling her about how she was meant to rise to the top of whatever her chosen profession was. And I knew by her age that she was getting up there and maybe possibly closer to retiring. So halfway through, I'm just speaking, I'm relaying everything, and I was going to tell her something that, based on what she was telling me next, I was going to look pretty foolish. But I didn't. I was like so pleased. It was this. So Dorothy, I knew that she wanted to be part of a powerful force. Her house of careers, the 10th house, was just jumping. But yet this thing with her mother. And I said to her, Dorothy, what is your line of work? And she said, well, I just retired a few months ago. I was the director of nursing at a teaching hospital outside of New York City. Well, what I was going to tell her next, like I said, I was going to look like a fool. And it was this. I saw on her chart where she had especially as a child, a great amount of difficulty with learning. There was some kind of an obstacle with her ability to learn and to really take in education. I didn't know what it was. You see, I might be the subject matter expert on astrology, but you're the subject matter expert on you. And we combine our forces to really come up with that theme. You know, sometimes it's very apparent. Well, the floodgates open, and Dorothy said to me, Jane, you're exactly right. She said, here's how it went. She said, throughout my childhood, my mother was on and off on death's door. So therefore, she couldn't be the mother that I needed her to be. But I worried about her and loved her just the same. But I would get off that school bus every day of my life, and I would run home and think, this is the day I'm going to find my mother dead. And she said, subsequently, in elementary school, I couldn't study. I couldn't comprehend the information in the books because I was filled with such anxiety over what was happening with my mother. And I was like, oh, wow. And you know, and so we went on, and it was just so profound that this thing called astrology with the snapshot can really tell a story that, whether you believe or not that, you know, we all signed up as an assignment to this lifetime. I tend to believe that. And to me, that's what the chart shows, and that we're meant to be overcomers of our charts. We're meant to succeed in a big way, in spite of anything, any obstacle in our chart. And we're to congratulate ourselves each and every day on the strides that we're making. But what the chart does, it clues you in big time. And so that's why I do what I do and have such tremendous passion for it, because it sets people free. And you know, what I find too is that if you, I've sat down even with big families. I know a woman and her husband, this was 3 years ago, and their 6 children. And we spent 3 hours doing all their charts at a round table. Holy smokes. And you can see it's like the puzzle that comes together, that meant to be. And so, you know, and here we are, you know, in our humanity, we're all meant to be together on this call. And we're all meant to be in the year 2022. And Russell and John with their North Node in the first house, big daddy bucks or whatever it is, or big, you know, big shoes to fill or something. But this destiny that pulls all of us in a very certain direction. So it's just about us sitting down, you and I walk you through your chart and tell you about what I see. And then you fill me in on what really is. And then we even take it to, because one of the things that I really love about what a chart can tell you, everybody knows they have in their chart the sun sign, and then there's a moon sign, and then and the different planets. But there's this wonderful instrument that I use, and it just never fails me. It's called the node. Well, I'm sorry. There's the North Node and the progressed moon together. And we talked about the North Node here, but the progressed moon, if you want to know where you're landing, what direction you're going in, what arena are you truly meant to be in, then we need to have a conversation about both the North Node and really your entire chart. But that progressed moon is huge, and it just, it makes you feel like, you know what? I am supposed to be here. I am supposed to live out. Maybe I am supposed to even step up my vibration, really elevate, so yeah. Questions, concerns.
Question.
Yes, Russell.
Have you ever seen the charts be completely wrong?
Never, never, ever. No. And I actually, this was 3 years ago, it was right before COVID. I did and right as COVID started, I started doing lots of Zoom parties. I still do. But, and I'll never forget, it was a large group of people from Long Island that hired me for, oh gosh, there were probably close to 17, 18 women at this party. And it was 3 hours long. And there was this one woman, and she said, when I got done, she said, no, that's not me at all. And I said, well, let me rephrase a little bit here. I said, what exactly, and so on, and and so she started to tell me, and I said to her, well, when I said that, I meant that, but can we rephrase it? Can we reframe it and say this? Well, then this woman's sister was also on the call, and she's shaking her head and she's saying, Jane, you got it all right. She's a person who just doesn't want to face it. It's like, okay, let's say goodbye now, and then I had, and this was perfect. This was a live group that I did. It was women, especially, in the group, couple men, for the most part women. And unbeknownst to me, there were two sisters. They had different last names, whatever, when they introduced me, to them, what have you, doesn't matter. And I said, what I do in these groups, I'll say, you don't know who it is that I'm talking about. I just will look at a chart and I'll say, okay, everyone here, you all know one another and I don't know any of you, but I'm going to describe this person to you, what their chart is. And so when I got done with this one chart and I said, okay, who am I? And this one woman said, it's me. And the sister looked at her and said, she said the person was loyal. She said, you are not loyal. And it was like, another. I mean, like the stuff that comes out in these parties, I'm telling you, it's just funny. I mean, the family dynamics, I don't know. It's like truth or consequences kind of a thing, So anyhow, one thing I want to mention that's happening right now, and just to go forward this week, and actually between now and essentially October 30th to fast forward to January 12th, 2023, the planet Mars has gone what we call retrograde. We've all heard of Mercury retrograde. Everybody gets all wacky, communications, even instruments and things that are mechanical go haywire. Well, Mars is really quite different. And it's this is my message to you, that between October 30th and January 12th, it's not a bad thing, but it is this. Mars is the action planet. And for those of you who are on the call here, Kathleen, that are Aries, it kind of speaks to you. It's like saying, slow down. slow it down. And it's saying it to all of us, but it's really speaking to the Aries, the Leos, the fire signs of the world. And it's just a time where when we do put one foot in front of the other very pragmatically, it wins the day. So between this time frame, if we're trying to put a round peg into a square hole and do it fast, guess what? It probably ain't gonna work. Just chill. Everything in its own time. That's the big message, okay? So I'll leave you with that, and unless any other questions, you can reach me through UrVeda. Oh, Joe?
Yeah, I was going to say, what type of emotions may this Mars in retrograde bring up?
Yeah, there is some anger stuff going on. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Mars is the warrior. It is the fiery Aries warrior. So yes, things will be said, not in jest. It'll never the truth be told, or you name it. There's all sorts of things that are attached to being overly sharing, let's say, and sort of like take that, and then being sorry, like sort of yes. Keep those glasses on, Joe. Your health will be much improved. Yeah, it is interesting, but the whole theme and the whole message is to just slow down and be practical. Aries wants to leap before it looks. And this message is, no, you shall look, and maybe you even have to look again, and it might be pinching you, and you might be saying, I'm sick of this. I want to go. I'm a warrior. It's like, rah, rah. So. All right, my friends, it is the top of the hour, and I wish you the top of the evening, afternoon, morning, and all the days ahead. And I can't wait to see you next Monday the 7th at 5 o'clock here, your Veda time, my Veda time, and love to all you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Thanks
Bye.
so much, Jane. That was wonderful.
Oh,
Bye,
thank
everybody.
Thank you, Jane.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.